Hello, today we've come to Mrs Smiths Cottage.
Yes, Mrs Smiths Cottage is in Navenby in Lincolnshire, and it's an absolutely gorgeous little cottage that's been preserved, and we're really looking forward to it.
And we've picked a lovely sunny day.
Certainly have. The cottage is thought to date from the 1830s and remains largely unchanged, from the room reserved for high days and holidays to the cosy kitchen where Mrs Smith's rocking chair still sits by the range. Mrs Smith resisted council pressure to modernise, and she lived with an outside privy and continued climbing a ladder to her bedroom to the ripe old age of 102.
The cottage has a warm, homely feel, as if Mrs Smith has just popped out to the shops and will be back sometime soon to put the kettle on. You are invited to sit in the chairs and look at her photo albums and mementos, giving a lovely feeling as if you are just visiting your favourite gran.
Hilda Craven was born in Navenby on the 28th of October 1892. She was orphaned at an early age and brought up in Navenby by her adoptive mother, Mary Barrand.
She left school in May 1906 when she was just 13 years old, and started work as a day girl, looking after the children of Mr Dawson the butcher on the corner of Church Lane, Navenby. In 1910, when the Methodist minister and his family left the village, she went with them to Snaith in Yorkshire.
In 1922, Hilda bought the cottage for the first time, using money from a legacy. It cost her £75. She returned to live in Navenby in 1926 to care for her elderly mother. In the same year, she sold the house to her employer, Tom Smith, for £95. This was the time when the new Methodist church was built in Navenby, and it is thought that she needed to raise money towards the new building.
In 1937, Hilda bought the cottage for the second time, paying just £95. She was now in permanent residence in the cottage and was working as a bookkeeper for the Holmes family, who had the local joinery and funeral business in the village.
On the 29th of December 1956, Hilda married Joseph Smith, a widower and Methodist lay preacher. Hilda was 64 and Joseph 73. For their honeymoon, they spent a week near Matlock in Derbyshire. During their marriage, a number of improvements were made to the cottage, including redecoration and new furniture. Sadly, 4 years later, Joseph died, leaving Hilda once again on her own. She remained a vital part of the community and yet uniquely independent for the next 30 years.
As an active member of Navenby village life, she had a wide circle of friends, relatives and neighbours who would call on her any time of the day. Her door was always open, and they would settle into a chair and she would put the kettle on the hob. She kept a regular diary of village life, and when people called upon her, this was often used to settle disputes around dates and events. And it was stated that There was no arguing with Mrs Smith's diaries. Excerpts from the diary can be found around the cottage and in the small museum that has been set up alongside the cottage.
On her 100th birthday, on the 28th of October 1992, Hilda wrote in the diary, "Had house full all day. The Queen's message arrived with the postman and almost 200 cards. The church bells were rung for an hour in the afternoon."
She lived in the cottage until after her 102nd birthday, when she became too frail to return after a fall. She died in May 1995.
Having been saved by the local community, Mrs Smith's humble cottage was first opened as a museum in 1999 through the collaboration of local volunteers and the district council.
Oh, I've really enjoyed that, haven't you?
Oh, it's been lovely, hasn't it? And we're ending it in this beautiful little cottage garden. It's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.